Hello everyone. Today we will study about climatology. What is climatology? The study of atmospheric structure and processes. Composition of the atmosphere. About 99% of the total mass of atmosphere is confined to the height of 32 km from the surface of Earth. Why so? This is because of gravity. Highest density of atmosphere is also near the surface, and again this is because of gravity. Composition. Atmosphere contain gases, water vapor, dust particles. Up to height of 90 km, atmosphere is a homogeneous mixture of its components. It means different type of gases are mixed, and this makes a homogeneous mixture. This is called a homosphere. It means up to a height of 90 km from the surface of Earth, this is homosphere. And beyond 90 km, all gases are separated by mass because of gravity, and their structure is called heterospherical structure. Gases are of two types: variable gases and invariable gases. Variable gases are the gases whose concentration varies significantly over time and location, even due to change in weather or climate. So, carbon dioxide, methane, ozone, nitrous oxide, these are variable gases. Invariable gases are nitrogen, oxygen, argon, neon, helium and hydrogen. Now you see, atmosphere contains all these gases. You can see their order, descending order. Nitrogen is the highest in quantity, 78%. Oxygen is 21%. Argon is 0.9%. And carbon dioxide is 0.04%. All other these gases are in trace amounts. Like ozone is 0.0006% of the atmosphere. You see, there is neon, helium, methane, krypton, hydrogen, nitrous oxide, carbon monoxide, xenon, ozone, nitrogen dioxide, iodine and ammonia. All these gases are present in the atmosphere. We study about nitrogen gas. It constitutes about 78% of the whole atmosphere, and it can be detected up to a height of 700 km in the atmosphere. You can see here its molecular weight. You know, atomic number of nitrogen, it's 7. So one molecular weight of the nitrogen gas will be 28 gram per mole. It is a chemically inert gas. It means it is not very reactive. It doesn't react so well with other elements. So it is a chemically inert gas, and it doesn't have any direct impact on our atmosphere, but it helps maintain a stable weather and maintain a atmospheric pressure. It also helps in construction of protein and DNA, thus very essential for the growth and development of life itself. It also prevents the rapid combustion of the oxygen by diluting it. If there is no nitrogen, combustion because of oxygen will be so rapid and so huge, it won't be able to stop it. So there is highly necessity of the nitrogen gas. It is also used in industries for food preservation and as a protective gas in metal production. Oxygen is the second most abundant gas in our atmosphere. It constitutes about 21% of our atmosphere. Its molecular weight is 32 gram per mole. You see, oxygen is atomic number here 8. It is up to a height of 120 km in the atmosphere. After that, it will be negligible amount. So we will take it as like it is only up to a 120 km in the atmosphere. It is the most important gas in our atmosphere. You see, during the early stages of revolution in the primordial atmosphere is the atmosphere during the early stages of Earth. It was completely absent. There was no oxygen on Earth. Then how it come in the atmosphere? When water vapors in the atmosphere during the first stages of evolution start to condense, and then it rain, it precipitate, and the depressions on earth started to fill, thus created the oceans. These oceans also consumed CO2. How? Most of the CO2 in the atmosphere that present in primordial atmosphere, it came down with the rain and it assimilated with the oceans. Then this CO2 was used in photosynthesis by the phytoplanktons, which in then produce oxygen, and the saturation of this oxygen led to the extinction of anaerobic species during the great oxidation event. Like when oxygens were flooded with the oxygen, it started to come out of the oceans, and any life, anaerobic species mean that are not dependent on the oxygen to survive. All these species become extinct, and that event is called great oxidation event. And after that, only oxygenated life began on the earth. Argon. Argon is the third most abundant gas in our atmosphere. It constitutes about 0.9% of the atmosphere. Its atomic weight is 40 gram per mole. Why we call it this atomic weight while others we call molecular weight? Because it is a monoatomic gas. It means only one atom is sufficient. Like in oxygen we have two. In nitrogen we have two. These are diatomic molecules. These are monoatomic gases: argon, krypton, neon, helium, xenon. And it is also a chemically inert gas, doesn't react very much. It is a non-toxic and non-flammable. It doesn't burn, okay? And it doesn't have any direct impact on the biological role. It doesn't have any biological role. It just acts as a buffer, a chemically inert buffer, just to keep the atmosphere stable and safe. Today, we also use argon in radiometric dating along with potassium. Argon is neither a pollutant nor a greenhouse gas. However, it is denser there. You see its atomic weight. So, it must be denser than the air. Carbon dioxide. This is the fourth most abundant gas, and it is largely responsible for the greenhouse effect. What is greenhouse effect? You see, solar wave radiations came on earth and they heated up the surface of earth, and then earth released long wave terrestrial radiations, and these radiations were absorbed by CO2 and thus trapping the heat in the atmosphere. This leads to a warming of the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide is found only up to 90 km and it is heavier. You see its molecular weight is obviously heavier than the oxygen gas. It is a meteorologically important gas. What is a meteorologically important gas? A gas which put an impact on the weather, atmosphere. It is a very important gas. It means it is a meteorologically important gas. Okay, and it is transparent to the short wave solar radiation. Transparent, largely transparent, not completely. This is largely transparent, because solar radiation have 50% infrared and rest 43% visible and 7% UV. So CO2 only absorb infrared, but with the terrestrial radiations, they are all infrared radiations, and hence they excite the carbon dioxide molecule, causing them to vibrate. This is the absorption process basically of the carbon dioxide. Ozone is in very minor scale, and it is found between 10 km to 50 km above the surface of earth. It acts as a filter. It absorbs the ultraviolet radiating from the sun and prevent them from reaching the surface of earth. We have read that sunlight have 50% infrared, 43% visible and 7% ultraviolet radiations. only visible light is responsible for the photosynthesis and not absorbed by greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases doesn't absorb visible light. They absorb infrared light, and UV radiations are absorbed by ozone or blocked by ozone. So you see, infrared radiations are of three types: highly energetic, partially energetic, and least energetic. So ozone only interact with highly energetic and partially energetic ultraviolet radiation. It doesn't absorb the least energetic radiations. So least energetic UV ray radiations help in synthesis of vitamin D. So vitamin D, what we our body make inside us, this is because of least energetic ultraviolet radiations. So second part of atmosphere is water vapor. Its molecular weight is, this is water, H2O, and this is molecular weight 18 gram per mole. It is a variable gas. You remember what is a variable gas? A gas who may vary significantly over time and location, even due to weather and climate. So this is a variable, and it decreases with altitude. As we go up higher in the atmosphere, amount of water vapor will decrease. It is found only up to 90 km from the surface of Earth. And you see, in warm and wet tropics, it may account for, it is higher in warm and wet tropics, about 4% air of the volume, while in dry and cold areas of desert and polar region, it may be less than 1%. यानी कि deserts में और polar areas में this is less than 1%. But however, in warm and wet tropic areas, it is even 4% of the volume. So when water is higher, so atmosphere must have less nitrogen and less oxygen than it usually have. Its molecular weight is higher than more than the dry air. That why it become a buoyant and it float over the dry air. It is also a greenhouse gas. You see, it is trap the insolation, it trap radiations, and thus it preserves the Earth's radiated heat. It acts as a, you can even say it is the most abundant greenhouse gas. Amount of water vapor in there also decides the stability or instability of the atmosphere. What is instability or stability? Atmospheric stability is how likely air is to rise or sink. If more water vapor present in the atmosphere, it fuels the instability. How? More water vapor leads to more vertical movement. As more vertical movement, there will be temperature drop and condensation. This will encourage a higher temperature contrast with the surrounding. This further fuels the instability in the atmosphere, and thus all this lead to the cloud formation and precipitation. How so? That more water vapor, it means moist air have fuels instability, while the dry air doesn't cause that much. Okay, there are highly unlikely that there will be any vertical movement in dry air, and the skies will remain clear, because water has more specific heat capacity. It is high specific heat capacity than the dry air, which make the moist air cool slowly than the dry air. So air will be have to rise more and more to lower its temperature to condensation, and this will high vertical movements creates very big clouds, higher clouds, and thus this lead to the atmospheric instability and thunderstorm and even precipitation. Third constituent of our atmosphere is the dust particles. What kind of dust particles? Like sea salts, fine soil, smoke soot, ashes, pollen, dust, and disintegrated particles of the meteors. These are generally in the lower layers of the atmosphere. However, by convectional air currents, they may be transported to the greater heights. Higher concentration of the dust particle is found in subtropical and temperate regions. This is Earth, and this is its equator. These are subtropical and temperate region. This is equatorial, polar zone. Only this is subtropical and temperate area. Only these have more dust particles than the equatorial and polar regions. Why so? Because there are more dry winds in subtropical and temperate regions. Equatorial and polar regions don't have much dry winds. Dust and salt particles also act as hygroscopic nuclei. What is a hygroscopic nuclei? It means it is hydrophile. It attracts water vapor. Water vapor condenses around a hygroscopic nuclei. It means around a dust particle. So thus dust particle also allow the condensation to occur at slightly lower humidity. It means even humidity levels haven't even reached to the saturation. It can even condense before that. Why so? Because of dust particles. But if there are too many dust particles, it means too much pollution. This can also delay precipitation by producing too many tiny droplets will not coalesce into raindrops. It means there will be so many droplets, they will not become a raindrops by coalescing. So there will be no precipitation. It will delay precipitation by some cause. Okay, so I think we have completed our lesson for today. So what we studied today, we have read about the climatology, the study of atmosphere structure and processes, likely composition of the atmosphere, gases, water vapor and dust particles. We will look in the gases. There are various gases in the atmosphere. You must remember there is iodine gas, there is ammonia gas, nitrogen dioxide gas, xenon gas, krypton gas. These are present in our atmosphere. However, they are in very minute scale, but they are present in our atmosphere. Highest, most abundant gas, highest percentage of a gas, it is nitrogen. 78% of our atmosphere is filled with nitrogen gas. Its molecular weight is 28 gram per mole. It is a chemically inert gas, but you must remember, it is a very important gas for the growth and survival of life, because nitrogen is the main component in protein and DNA constructions. Oxygen is the most important gas. You know very well, without oxygen we cannot breathe. We are a oxygenated species, and any oxygenated species cannot live without oxygen. It is that simple. How it is come to in the atmosphere? It comes from the phytoplanktons. When phytoplanktons, through the process of photosynthesis, they produce oxygen by consuming carbon dioxide dissolved in the oceans. Argon is the third most abundant gas with 0.9% of the atmosphere. It is non-toxic, non-flammable, monatomic and chemically inert gas. But in modern science, we use it in radiometric dating along with potassium. It is neither a pollutant nor a greenhouse gas. However, it is denser than the air. You see its atomic weight. Carbon dioxide is the fourth most abundant gas in our atmosphere. It is the largely responsible for the greenhouse. In fact, it is heavier than oxygen, and it is meteorologically important gas. Meteorologically important gas is a gas that have an impact on weather and climate of our atmosphere. So it is transparent to the incoming short wave solar radiation, but opaque to the long wave terrestrial radiation. Thus, it helps in maintaining the Earth's heat. Ozone is a very important gas. It is found between 10 to 50 km above the Earth's surface. It acts as a filter and it absorbs ultraviolet radiations from the sun, and it then prevents them reaching from the surface of Earth. You know, ultraviolet rays can cause skin burn, even this damage DNA. It can even damage DNA. So it is a very harmful radiations, you can say. However, there are three types of ultraviolet radiations. Least energetic ultraviolet radiation helps us in synthesis of vitamin D in our body. You can also see ultraviolet radiations are absorbed during the photodissociation process of the ozone layer. What is photodissociation process? You can see when ozone comes under the UV, B and C. B and C means C is highly energetic and UVB is partially energetic ultraviolet radiations. This process, when ozone break into oxygen gas and oxygen atom, this is called photodissociation. Second constituent of our atmosphere is water vapor. It is very important for the atmospheric stability. You must remember that. And how the atmospheric stability works? It is when you have more water vapor, atmosphere will be highly unstable. There will be more instability in the atmosphere when there is more water vapors present, because that will lead to water vapor vertical movement above, and as they go above, temperature of the water vapors will drop and condensation take place. Because of this condensation, cloud will be formed and there will be thunderstorms and precipitation in the atmosphere. Third constituent of atmosphere is the dust particles. These are various dust particles: sea salts, fine soil, smoke shoot, ash, pollen, dust, disintegrated particles of meteors. You see, these are present in higher concentration in subtropical and temperate regions due to more dry winds comparison to the equatorial and polar regions. Dust particles also act as hygroscopic nuclei. It means these are hydrophiles. They attract water vapors around them and condense them to produce clouds. So these are very important because as they lower the need of higher humidity for condensation to happen and then the cloud formation, they reduce that saturation level. But too much dust particle, too much pollution can cause a delay in the precipitation because of tiny droplets which will not coalesce into raindrops. So this part is complete. So you can read, please read chapter Air from our environment class 7 and chapter Composition and Structure of Atmosphere from Fundamental of Physics class 11. So thank you. See you tomorrow.